Hello, and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be discussing the mob vote, which I know you're probably thinking, wow, this has been discussed so many times in the past, especially recently. A lot of videos have come out, oh, the mob vote sucks. But I'm going to put my opinion out there because I think I have a pretty good opinion on the matter. And, let's just get started. So, the mob vote has historically been pretty hated. And the reason why is pretty simple. They add one mob from the mob vote, and it ends up to be not the best mob. Usually the lackluster mob makes it in, and then everyone complains, oh, this mob's trash. For example, you got the glow squid, you got the phantom, you got the sniffer, which people didn't really like that much. Those are all examples of mobs that people didn't really appreciate or think were that great. And obviously, I think the reason why that happens is because the ideas they give out are concepts and not fully fledged ideas, right? So obviously they're going to change a couple things, and it's not going to be exactly what they say, but that's not the issue here, okay? The issue here is that mob votes are actually pretty lazy, and they're not good for the community of Minecraft. The reason why is because although it does the right thing, right? The design of the mob vote, I believe at least, is to get people talking about the game and people back into the game and get excited for the next update, right? What it ends up doing is causing people to argue and be mad at each other because people can't agree on what's best. And also not only that, but I think the solution to this problem that would have solved the whole idea of like, let's get people excited about the game would have been to just say, we're going to add these 3 mobs and tell you about it. Now, it does remove the aspect of, oh wait, you have a say in the matter and you feel like you matter and you're excited. Reality is that no one can agree on one thing, right? So people are going to be disappointed when their mob they voted for is not in the game, and it would avoid disappointment. I mean, imagine if the original mob vote, the first one, all of the options were released. And imagine if they listened to the community and they said, oh, some people said like, oh, the Phantom sounds bad, and they just said, oh, we're going to scrap the Phantom. And they added the other 2. You know how cool that would have been? Not only would that give a lot more content to some of the updates, because most of these mobs they add are pretty lackluster, but it also would just make the game updates more exciting, because now you know you're getting even more content than usual. Instead, they take this dumb approach. The other thing that I think they need to do is they need to stop. I think what people stop needing to do is complain about how slow the updates are. Now, I am a man who agrees that, yes, it takes forever for them to release the updates. I mean, you always hear the argument like, oh wow, the mob vote came out and 1 week after, you know, all the mobs are like, fully fledged out in a mod, and people are playing with them, you know? And Moji can't add all 3 of them, blah blah blah, until 6 months later, right? Well, the thing is we know we have an update schedule every 6 months. It's just how it is. So I don't know why people are surprised that, like, the mob vote happens and then no mob is added immediately after. Like, duh, they're not going to update the game. And people say, oh, the game developers are lazy. While I want to agree with that and how, like, oh, the developers are lazy, what's most likely the case is that Minecraft doesn't need updates. And that Microsoft knows that. Mojang knows that, right? They know that the game will thrive without many updates, and if they just hype up the updates, it'll get people to play right before it happens. When update drops, they get a lot of players, and the players will stay playing for months, and then, you know, as they slowly lose players, they just drop another update. I think that's how it works. They don't really care about, I would say, having a lot of updates, because the game's already so massive. I mean, when you have one of the biggest games of all time, such as Minecraft, you really don't need to update the game because people love the game how it is already. Not only that, but it's a sandbox game, right? So people are not going to care about updates. It's just like, I think this whole thing of like people arguing about how like the developers are lazy is stupid, because what's most likely the case is this, you know, the higher ups telling the developers what to do. And in fact, this is just a lesson, I should say, for any game, in fact. Most likely, in most games where you think the developers are at fault for things, it's most likely the higher ups telling the developers how things work. And And I think this is something that just needs to be talked about in general, because I think almost every game where people say, oh, the developers suck, they made horrible updates and stuff, I guarantee almost all those situations, the higher-ups told them, this is what you have to do. Or someone told the developers, this is what you have to do, and I don't think the developers have as much of a say as people think. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I think that needs to be addressed, because developers receive so much hate for nothing. I mean, I can't imagine being a developer for a game like Minecraft where people will hate on me, and just I would receive death threats constantly because, of something that I had to develop by a higher-up, right? So yeah, that's basically my message with the mob vote. Just make it so that they release all 3 mobs. I also should mention that they should stop doing mob votes, because I think one of the issues right now is there's a lot of mobs in the game that are very useless. Great examples, the turtle and the polar bear. And then what did they add after that? The glow squid. Why did we need the glow squid? Like, what purpose does that serve? It's practically useless. I mean, glowing ink sac is almost useless. I mean, no one uses them. Almost no one does, I should say. People use them. Don't get me wrong. I guarantee most people don't. And then you have polar bears and stuff added before that are even more useless. So you're just adding useless mobs on top of more useless mobs. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, seriously? Like, I don't understand why you need to focus on adding more mobs when you can't fix things that are not already needing fix. That was not great English, but that's not the point, right? So, personally, I think they should stop doing mob votes in general, and stop even giving out mob ideas, and just fix mobs that are just kind of lackluster. I'd say at least half the passive mobs in the game are just completely useless or trash. It's just how it is, right? And they need fixing. They need to be reworked. I mean, like I said, turtle and polar bear are great examples. I mean, who actually cares about polar bears? And who actually sits there and goes, "Oh, turtles! I'm so excited!" They're useless. But that's a whole other discussion for another day. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe. Road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And peace.